Alright YouTube, this is the swag I picked up at Anime Weekend Atlanta weekend. Want to check out what I got? Stay tuned! Hello YouTube, Nate here, your friend and the procurer of all things interesting and old in the anime universe. I am here with a pickup video. Basically, over the last couple of weeks, I went to Anime Weekend Atlanta in Atlanta, Georgia, or well, the Atlanta, Georgia area basically, and I picked up a lot of very interesting things while I was down there. Anime Weekend Atlanta is one of my favorite conventions to actually attend throughout the year, mainly because I really love AMVs, and it's a big AMV con. A lot of AMV creators go there. All of us people who hang out at animemusicvideos.org all get together, get drunk, have tons of fun, and it's just a great place to be. And one of the things I really love about going down to that con is that I have a tendency to find things down there that I don't find in my area, and I can find some things I don't normally find elsewhere. So it's a fun little event, and I figure, hey, let's go over some of the stuff that I picked up so you can see some of the interesting things I've found. So first off, we'll talk about the official merchandise that I picked up at Anime Weekend Atlanta. And the official merchandise I picked up is shot glasses. I collect shot glasses. It's one of the things that I've been collecting for a very long time, and pretty much any time I go somewhere I try to get a shot glass. So I decided to pick up 3 this year because they had basically sported a brand new design for their original shot glass. This is the actual glass shot glass with the brand new logo design you can see here. Anime Weekend Atlanta written on the back side there. And it's just a fun little glass here. I'm not going to drink from it. I'm going to stick it in with the rest of my shot glasses. I don't have them on display in my new place yet, but as soon as I have a place for them, they'll get put up on display. But that's what this is. And one of the things that AWA also does is they have plastic shot glasses. You've got pink and blue. Got a little panda on it. It says Anime Weekend Atlanta in the old style kind of thing. You know, it's probably a little hard to see up there. Maybe you can see this one a little bit better. Kind of like that. These are more designed for me to have up by my sink so I can do random shots. Something there for me to have, and you know, it's not necessarily a collectible in my opinion because I only collect this style shot glass. It's got to be glass of some type, actual have real weight to it, all of that fun stuff, and or standard shot. These are standard shots. These aren't double shots, but they're plastic, kind of chintzy, really cheap. Figured it was something to have, so I have something to shoot in here at my new place. So yeah, that's the official con swag that I picked up. Didn't really get anything else con-wise at the convention, but did pick up a couple of other things. So let's start with the thing that a friend of mine got me, a good friend Sailor Death. We rode to the convention together and roomed together. He got me a grab bag. He really likes grab bags. I'm not a big fan of them because you never know what you're going to get. But he picked up this one grab bag, and it has some interesting stuff in it. Came with some Pocky, strawberry Pocky. Not my favorite brand of Pocky flavor, but I enjoy it, and I'll actually eat this, so hey, that's a plus. Came with this little thing, little bunny rabbit. It's got love written in the written in its ear. Kind of a, I guess maybe a cell phone charm, kind of. It's got the little loop here that you could loop up and put into a cell phone or something like that. Kind of cute, interesting. Something else that came in the bag. The bag actually came with a lot of cute stuff, pink stuff. This looks like something was meant for a girl. or a brony, as it would so happen to be. And actually, it's kind of interesting. It comes with these two Sailor Moon pins. This one of Sailor Saturn, and this one of Sailor Mercury. So that's kind of neat. I'm a fan of Sailor Moon. I was a fan of Sailor Moon before I became a fan of most anime, so it's kind of neat to have that. Add that to my massive collection of Sailor Moon merchandise. As far as other pins, we have a Celestia pin and a Derpy Hooves pin. So that's kind of fun. Nice, cute little pins. Add that to my collection. Got a grab bag here. One of the blind bags from, I guess this may be version 3 or version 4 of the blind bag, something like that. Interesting. Don't know what's inside it. Let's find out. Let's see who I got. I got Apple Stars. Looks like this. Kind of a clear pony. I guess that's kind of the thing they're going for. I guess they're crystal ponies or glow in the dark or something like that. Something else to add to my collection. I've got a lot of these lying around, so that's kind of cute. And then the final thing that came from the grab bag is Applejack bead art, and this is kind of really neat. It's done really well, and got this kind of a keychain carabiner thing on it. It's a really awkward keychain to have. Not sure where I'm going to put this yet. I may hang it somewhere if I can find a spot to hang it from. But overall, yeah, it's kind of neat. Wish it was Rainbow Dash, but well, it's a blind bag. You have no clue what's inside, so yeah, it was worth it. So thanks, Julius. Thanks, Sarah the Death. That was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. So let's move on to the stuff that I actually plunked money down on. Now, as I said, I am a fan of My Little Pony, as a lot of you should know, especially if you're following the channel. After all, I do like to braid Little Pony hair and things like that. So while I was there, I found the first 2 graphic novels for the My Little Pony comic book. I have not actually been following the comic. I know it came out and everything, but with all the different variant covers and all of this other stuff, it was horrible to try and figure out which one do I want to buy, which comic, which cover do I want to buy, all of this other stuff. And honestly, half the time I go to the comic book shop and they wouldn't have any in stock. So it's kind of neat to actually get it in this graphic novel form so I can actually sit down and read through the storylines all at once. It's something I usually prefer. I don't like to have to wait a month to read the next part of the story. I like getting the whole arc together, and it looks like that's what it is. This is the first book, the first arc, and the second book, the second arc. And so it'll be fun to actually sit down and read through all of that. Next up, one of the cool things that Anime Week in Atlanta does is on Thursday night they have what they call a swap meet. I don't know if they charge people for table space, but basically you come and you bring whatever you want to sell, and it's like a garage sale but with anime goods. And you bring all the stuff that you want to sell, you set up a table, and then people come in during this 3-hour period shortly after registration opens on Thursday night, and you can buy stuff from other nerds that don't want anything. I'm always on the lookout for old and obscure anime and older formats. I like VHS, I like Laserdisc, and I was really tickled when I walked in. One of the first booths was a Anime Week in Atlanta staffer who had some Laserdiscs, and so I picked up 2 of them. The first one I picked up here is Demon City Shinjuku. It's an older series that I actually saw for the very first time renting the VHS from Blockbuster. It's an interesting story, 80 minutes long, all on Laserdisc. If you don't know what a Laserdisc looks like, it's like a giant record. It's the size of a record, but it's a CD. And oddly enough, you may not know it, but Laserdiscs came before CDs. Actually, CDs were made based off of Laserdisc technology. So, something new to learn every day. The other thing I found was Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind. This is really nice to see. I own a copy of this on Laserdisc already. I own a lot of the Ghibli films on Laserdisc. However, this is a different version from the one that I do own, and so I wanted to pick it up because it was different from the one I have. I really, really, really love this movie, and I'm glad that I now have a couple more copies of it. So the next time if I want to sit down and do a review of Nausicaa at some point in time, I can show them all to you. So let's look at some of the other stuff I picked up. Next on the list is the Mystic Revolution Volume 4 graphic novel. I follow Mystic Revolution online, the online webcomic. Been following it for a very long time. I've gotten a chance to get to know the artist a little bit at conventions. I've met her at quite a few different conventions that we've gone to, and a friend of mine actually offered to help build a new forum for her. I don't know if that actually got off the ground, but it was definitely interesting. And I always try to stop by her booth and see if I could pick something up every time, try to support the comic as best I can. And when I was at the con, I realized that Book 4 was out. I didn't realize that Book 4 was coming out, and all of a sudden, here it is, Book 4. And so I had to buy it. Picked it up, and of course when you buy a book there at the con, she will do a drawing in the book for you. And basically I've tried to get every of the main characters so far in all of my books, and this time I decided to choose the cleric, who's on the cover, and so you got a drunken cleric drawing on the front. So that's neat and fun to have, and get to add that to my collection and actually read it at some point in time. Now, let's talk more about the anime that I picked up at the con, because, you're going to an anime con, you should probably pick up some anime, potentially. What I look for is old and obscure titles. I mean really old and obscure titles, things that people don't normally see out there too often, and I like stuff on DVD. That's where you get the really old and obscure stuff. Most of the stuff that you see on Blu-ray at the dealer's room, in the dealer's hall, basically you can find that online, rightstuff.com, for a lot cheaper than you can buy at the con. So half the time I don't buy any of that stuff. So I look for more of the older stuff that's been sitting around for a while, that dealers are looking to get rid of at a fairly cheap price. And actually one of my favorite dealers to go to, it's cropped up recently, is this cheap anime and manga booth. And they'll sell stuff that's shrink wrapped, never been opened, factory sealed, for really cheap. Stuff that would have cost $30, $40 or more for a lot less. And so I picked up 3 titles. The first title I picked up was the 20th anniversary edition of Outlanders. I don't really know much about this show, but I hope to know a little bit more now that I own it and can actually watch it. I just know that this is an older storyline, older series, and something I've been actually wanting to add to my collection for a while. So I picked up that. I also picked up X Driver. This is a show about girls and a guy who drive cars in a world where people don't drive cars anymore. And that's pretty much the storyline behind this. It's an interesting show. I've seen a few of the episodes when it first came out, and it's nice to actually finally own a copy now. Finally, as far as my pickups from the convention is concerned, I picked up this set of Gal Force. The first disc here is Gal Force Eternal Story, and the other one is Gal Force 2 Destruction. One of the interesting things about Gal Force, it's an old 80s show, and basically it's a bunch of women on a spaceship, and they're getting attacked by monsters in space, aliens, and they have to fight off the aliens. I think there's a repopulation of Earth storyline in here somewhere in one of these. There's quite a few of them. This is the first two. And it's fun to actually sit down and watch. So I got this now. And that ends what I picked up at the con. One of the things that I liked about going to AWA is I can actually road trip. I live in Michigan, and we drive all the way down to Atlanta for this. And on the way back, I get a chance to stop in at my parents'. And one of the things I like about the area that my parents live around, especially more now than there was when I was living with them, is there's a really, really big resale market in the area. Lots of stores that pick up old books and movies and vinyl records and DVDs and Blu-rays, and they resell them. And so I have a chance to pick up things when I stop in there that you don't normally see. And while this isn't technically part of the AWA Hall, this in a way is part of the AWA Hall because I picked this up before I even got back home. And it really made my weekend getting some of this stuff. So let's go over the anime first that I picked up. First up is Cyber Team in Akihabara. This is a weird magical girl zany show of some type. Didn't really get a lot of traction here in the States. Didn't last very long. It was an ADV title. It's fairly new. It's not really old per se, but it's really obscure, and that's why I like it. Something I deal in is the older obscure stuff. Next up is Wild Cards. I first saw this also on VHS rented at Blockbuster. Interesting story about a group of 4 girls that share some type of power based off of the suits of a playing card deck. Superpower girls saving the world, that type of stuff. Interesting story. What isn't an interesting story is this next one. That's Fancy Lala. This show goes nowhere, but I had to own it because it was in front of me, and I got a discount for buying a bunch altogether. It's an older story. This is Volume 1, only has the first 5 episodes, but something I've been wanting to own so I can own it, and I can now use this as source for future A&V projects, so something nice to have. Next up is Masamune Shiro's Gundress. Not a lot of people know about this show because it really wasn't advertised when it came out here in the States. Most people know Shiro's other works, such as Ghost in the Shell, Dominion Tank Police, things like that. But this was definitely a obscure title that not a lot of people knew about. I wanted to buy this the first time I saw it on shelves when it came out. I didn't have the money for it. So it's really nice to finally pick up a copy of it for fairly cheap. And finally in my AMV pickups is Garze's Wing. Honestly, I've never heard of this show before, but as soon as I saw it, I knew I needed to pick it up. The artwork on it is definitely some of the older, more interesting artwork styles, similar to Ninja Scroll, essentially. Things like that. Looks like to be an interesting story about some guy who, living in the modern world, gets transported to some fantastical world and has to save it. Typical cliche anime stuff. Interesting to have, and can't wait to actually pop it in and find out more about what it's like and whether it's good or not. That's actually one of the things I really like about picking up some of these older titles that I've never heard of or never seen. It's interesting to find out, is the show actually good? Is it horrible? Is it just old and that's why people didn't like it? It's kind of interesting to see that. So you may see that pop up in a future review. We'll see. Now finally, we're getting to my prized pieces from this whole entire trip. While we were down there, while I was looking at the anime, Ru-chan was off looking at the games, and she found these in the glass case. You couldn't pick them up. You had to have somebody go grab it for you, so you knew they were the good stuff, the stuff that was really well kept and everything, and the stuff that is pretty expensive. So I went over, took a look at what we had and got a chance to add a few more RPGs to my PlayStation collection. So I'm really pleased to actually pick up these two. The first one is As Your Dreams. This is basically, in a way, you could call it, it's a dungeon crawler. I think based off of what people title things now, this is kind of a roguelike RPG in a way. Basically, there's one dungeon, one town. You just keep going into the dungeon, you hang out in the town, and you do things there. This has a very similar idea to Dark Cloud. So it's definitely an interesting thing, and I can't wait to pop it in and actually check it out. Finally, we come up to my prize pickup. This one cost me a pretty penny. A little bit more than I was originally expecting to spend, but when I saw it and saw the condition it was in, I knew I had to own it. And that is Valkyrie Profile. Now, this is an interesting RPG based off of the fact that at the time it came out, there wasn't really a whole lot of RPGs that used this type of attack style, this type of fighting style, this type of play style, and definitely nothing else used the Norse mythology as part of its storyline. So it's definitely interesting to finally own a copy of this. One of the problems was when I was growing up, my family didn't follow PlayStation. We actually followed the Nintendo path. We got Nintendo, the NES, the Super NES, the N64, the GameCube, but we never got a PlayStation. In order for me to get a PlayStation, I got it late in its life. I actually bought my PlayStation a year and a half before the PS2 came out, and I sold my Genesis, Sega CD, and my original Nintendo and all of the games for it in order to buy my PlayStation and a couple of games to go along with it. Little sad that I had done that now. Hindsight's 2020. I really shouldn't have done that back then, but I really wanted a PlayStation, and honestly, I wouldn't trade some of the games I picked up because I owned a PlayStation for anything else either. So I've become more of an RPG gamer now than I was back then, so it's kind of half and half. I miss my old game systems. I miss my old games. I really miss Sonic CD a lot. I wish I still owned a copy of that. I'm still looking for one. We'll see if I find one that I can afford at the time. But I didn't, basically, because I got into things so late, I didn't get a chance to buy a lot of the RPGs, and I totally missed out on this one. One of my roommates in college, I saw him playing it, and that's when I knew about it, learned about it, and I've been looking for it ever since. And I finally got a chance to pick it up. So I cannot wait to finally pop this in, play it, enjoy it. Enjoy one of the best games that Enix ever came out with before they merged with Square, and now we get crap from them. So yeah, that is pretty much my haul from AWA. Well, it's my haul all except for a couple small pieces. I collect cells. I love animation cells. It's a thing I started collecting pretty much first beyond actual DVDs. And one of the things that was really cool about AWA this year is there was a cell dealer that I've never seen before. I've got his card here, celldepot.com, and there you go. And he has anime cells that I've not seen before from any other dealer I've gone to in the Midwest. Now, granted, yeah, it's a con in the South, and they have slightly different dealers than we do in the Midwest, so it's definitely nice to see this. And I got a chance to pick up a couple of cells. 1 second, let me walk over, pick it up, and I'll show you what I got. Alright. This is an art portfolio. It works really well, actually, for holding cells. Some of my graphics designer friends told me about it, and I love the idea. So let's find my cells that I picked up at the con. Alright. Now, When I look for cells, I'm looking for anime that I know, that I love, that I've seen, and I want to find iconic scenes from them. One of the shows I've been looking for animation cells for a very long time for is Cyber Formula Grand Prix. And I actually found a couple of cells. He had cells. In fact, I bought him out of his cells that he had at the con. So this cell here, I really love. It is from Episode 3 of Cyber Formula Sin, the OVA. And the actual drawing is right here. Like to keep them in separate pages. Found the exact spot of this. It's during the party. This reporter, her friend, is saying, "Hey, introduce me to Kaga." She starts pushing her towards Kaga. They look at Kaga. Kaga looks in their general direction, and then they realize that he's not looking at them. He's looking at Hayato, who's right behind them. Really interesting, fun scene, and nice to actually get a copy of a cell for that. Other cell I picked up from Cyber Formula is a cell of the Ice Queen. I don't remember what episode specifically this came from. It looks like it's either a cell from the original TV series or a cell from the first OVA from Double One. I'm still looking for the actual scene that this comes from, so I can actually put that in here, but definitely nice to actually get a copy of that. I'm still on the lookout for scenes of Kaga, Hayato, the Asurata, things like that, but we'll see. I'll keep looking around, see if I can find something. The next cell here is from one of my other favorite shows, Queen Emeraldus. I'm a big fan of Leiji Matsumoto and his work, and this is a cell of the main male protagonist from that show, and really nice, big, oversized cell, and I got it for really cheap in comparison, which is kind of nice. You'd usually expect a cell like this to go for a lot of money, and his cells were very reasonably priced, which allowed me to pick up quite a few. The next one is also from Queen Emeraldus, and this is the main bad guy from the second 2 episodes. ADV released the first 2 episodes of the OVA. There's 4 episodes total, but they only released the first 2. It's kind of like 2 separate OVA series because the second one was made by a different house, a different animation studio worked on it. And it's obscure, it's hard to find. I've got some Chinese fan sub copies that I was able to pick up. I would love to get some better, higher quality stuff of it, but for now, this is what I have. And nice to see that. And of course, I'm always on the lookout for Sailor Moon cells. And he had quite a few. The one I decided to pick up was an iconic cell of Usagi beating Rini's butt. And it's definitely fun to see. If I remember right, this is definitely from Sailor Moon R, based off of the character designs and whatnot. And I think it's one of the first episodes when she just decides to lean Chibiusa over her knee and just starts spanking her in the ass. So it's definitely interesting. And, well, that's all the cells that I picked up. Not a lot of really big popping cells, but stuff that I haven't seen in a while. A couple of friends of mine picked up cells from Yuretsu Yatsura and from Golden Boy because the voice actors for the voice actor for Otaru and the voice actor for Kenshiro were both, or Kentaro were both at the con, and so they got a chance to actually get their cells signed. I don't have any of my cells signed yet, but who knows? Maybe sometime I will. But that brings us to the end of this pickup video. I know it's gone on a little long, and maybe in another video at some point in time I'll actually take you through the rest of my cell book to show you the cells that I picked up over the years. But for now, I believe that's it. Have a good night, have a good day, have a good whatever. This is Nate, signing off.